Swing and a drive. Deep left field. We have a game winner. Justin Upton walks off the Sox.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Detroit Sports Talk, where we discuss all things sports related, Michigan especially. And my name is JT Smellick. I'm from Central Michigan University, studying to be a radio broadcaster, specifically in the line of sports.
And my name is Brett Hebel. I am currently a freshman at Madonna University, and I am studying sports management.
And today, we are going to be discussing all things sports related. We are going to be covering the Tigers, the Pistons, the Lions, and the NBA Finals. So let's just get right into it. All right, so as you just probably heard in the opening, Justin Upton walk-off home run to cap the first sweep of the season for the Detroit Tigers against the Chicago White Sox. And wow, what a series it was. Coming off a terrible road trip, would you say?
Absolutely.
They really needed to get that win out of the way. They needed a sweep. They haven't had a sweep all season. I don't think they've had a 4-game win streak all season.
This is their first one.
And so for them to get that out of the way, it has to leave you wondering, how good is this Tigers team?
Right now, I'd say kind of in the middle. As we saw earlier in the week, the current road trip they did very bad on. The pitching was lackluster. The offense was nowhere to be found. And now they seem to come alive against the White Sox. Granted, the White Sox are not one of the worst teams in the league, but we ended up doing something well, which is a good start. So better to start there than start nowhere.
I especially with this Tigers team, I feel like they couldn't get it done a few years ago, and I feel like we're basically working with the exact same Tigers team from a few years ago, except just an older version of that team. So, for me, I'm going to ask you today, Brett, what do you think the Tigers' goal is here? Like, what do you think they are? What do you think they will be at the end of the season?
Right now, I think they're a mediocre team, about a 500 team to say less. Honestly, at the end of the season, I think they'll be right around 500. Do I think they'll make the playoffs? Probably not. The pitching staff going into the season didn't look half bad. As you can see now, it's kind of turned things around for this series, but so far the season has been lackluster. Zimmerman hasn't been good as he was to start the season last year, even though he's healthy now. Verlander's been subpar. Boyd, as you can see, was sent down earlier this week, so he's been subpar. Norris has been all right, but his pitch count gets too high too quick, so it puts a lot of stress on the bullpen. And then, obviously, you have Fulmer, who's doing his best, but he can't carry that whole rotation.
You see, that's kind of where I've been since the beginning was, I like JV, I like Boyd, Norris, I love Zimmerman, I really feel like he has something there. But Fulmer's been the ace of the team for 2 seasons now. This is his first full season as the ace of the staff. One thing I'm tired of seeing is that Justin Verlander's the ace. Yeah, he's the veteran who leads the team, I agree. But the ace of the team is Michael Fulmer. He goes out there every day, he's dealing, he has a great whip. JV's struggling with command on his pitches, and as we saw, he's injured. Well, he's not injured, but he had to get an MRI check, which got done today. We don't know when his next start's going to be. And at this point in time, the lineup is up in the air. I think we can all agree on that. We don't have Boyd. JV's out for the foreseeable next starter, too. And I just really feel like with a average bullpen, with an aging offense, which is inconsistent at best, and with this just it's a starting rotation that's falling apart, and you have a manager that I don't think is fit to manage this team. I don't think that this team has any chance of making the playoffs. I had them at the start of the season at 70 wins, and they might get above that. They will not hit 80, and I know they will not hit 80.
I kind of agree, kind of disagree. I do agree that Osmus needs to go. He doesn't belong there. We need a veteran manager to help this veteran lineup. I don't see them making the playoffs either. A lot of people have been talking about, should we buy, should we sell, should we stay put at the trade deadline. as of right now, trade deadline is still over a month away. We're not that far back out of first place. The only chance we have of making the playoffs is winning the division, because we won't win the wild card because there's too many other good teams in the American League.
And bringing up your point of buying and selling, Al Avila has already stated that they will not add salary cap to this team at the trade deadline. So basically, you would have to trade an even for even, or you're selling. That's basically what he said, or you're staying with your exact same roster.
Yeah, agreed. As of right now, I would stay put if I were the Tigers. Obviously, you have just over a month to go before the trade deadline. So we've been playing good this last series, so obviously stay put now. But I feel, me personally, that when we get to the trade deadline, I think we need to sell. I think we need to sell everybody possible and replenish that farm system. It's only good for years to come. Honestly, even though JD Martinez is my favorite Tiger, love him, best Tiger on the team so far today, I think he needs to be traded as well. You can get some decent prospects for him, and you're not going to be able to hold on to him at the end of the season since his contract's up, so why not get something for him now?
And see, that's my whole thing with JD is like, he is your offense. Everything is going through him. He's slugging his ass off. He is doing everything for this team. Let me pull up the statistics right now. JD Martinez, in the 22 games he's played, he has 21 hits, he has 10 home runs, 22 RBIs. He's slugging at a 792. His OPS is over 1,200, and he's batting 292. And for JD, just coming off of the DL, I think that's just an amazing thing by him. And I really think this is where the lineup falters, is because you don't have all the players pulling their weight. Vimar isn't pulling his weight. Nick Castellanos isn't pulling his weight. He's like, this is a team that's not supposed to just be hitting singles for runs and stealing bases. This is a team that should be slugging, and the only one who's doing any of the slugging in this lineup, honestly, is Alex Avila, JD Martinez, and then you have your bench players, Presley, Adduci, Hicks, and Upton. That is, I think, in my opinion, those are the only players that are hitting for any power on this team. Miggy especially, where is his power at? What is he at? He's at 5 home runs, I'm pretty sure. And in how many games? He's played 43 games and he's hit 5 home runs.
Yeah, 5 home runs from Miguel Cabrera. I agree. This lineup is definitely not pulling their weight. JD is doing his job. Some of these bench players and AAA guys we brought up has actually been quite surprising how well they've been doing. I know Hicks is doing very well in replace of McCann. Machado's not doing half bad and in place of Kinsler. So we got some guys down there that can get the job done, but that's not the main guys you're paying on this team aren't getting the job done, and that's a problem. I feel that, as I said, for selling, I think we need to sell JD, Kinsler. I think you need to sell Iglesias possibly. Anybody you can sell and get some good return for, I think you should sell. I think you're stuck with Cabrera with his contract. Nobody's going to take that. JV as well. He's going to be a Tiger. They're both going to be Tigers for life. I think you're stuck with Upton unless you trade him. You're going to have to pay most of his salary, even if you trade him kind of like a Fielder trade, which to me isn't worth it.
We've seen the trade done before, but I mean, like, very rarely is a trade like that being able to be pulled off with such large amounts of money he's being paid. And honestly, I think Vimar is done at the end of the year. He's I think he's like almost 38.
Yeah, I think you got to ride out Vimar's contract and let him go after that.
And then, not to mention, Kinsler's even getting older, and he hasn't, as much as I love Kinsler, I think he's like a great all-around player for the team. He's not pulling his weight at all. He plays great defense, but that's about it.
And he's been in and out of the lineup recently.
With injuries, yes. And then Nick Castellanos, this is supposed to be his year. This should be his prime year, right? And as we've seen multiple times, he's one of the worst defenders in baseball. I'm tired of the excuses for him that he's learning. He will not be a good defender in this league. He leads the league. If he doesn't lead the league, he's second in errors, just in all of baseball. I'm not even talking about at third. Yes, he leads in third, let me tell you. But he cannot play defense in a tight moment. Can you imagine? Okay, imagine making the playoffs, right? Imagine you've made the playoffs. What are you going to do? You have a very inconsistent lineup. You have a bullpen that, I swear to God, one of every 3 starts you will give up some runs from that bullpen. You have starters who aren't going long. You have one of the most injury-prone teams in baseball. You've been lucky it hasn't plagued you as bad as it has some other teams yet. But honestly, where are you going to go when you have to face a real team like the Astros? What do you think you can match up with? There's Tigers fans that think they can match up with a team like that. They cannot match up.
Yeah, I agree. I really think this team, you kind of got to blow it up, start over. You look at teams like the Yankees, the Astros, the Cubs, all these teams, they blew it up years ago. They got rid of all their high salaries. All those guys retired, or they traded them, got rid of them, and they got guys for the farm system instead. And look at them now. You got guys like Aaron Judge. You got guys like Chris Bryant, Carlos Correa, that are leading the league in some of these stats, becoming the next stars of the game. And they were nobodies until these teams traded their big guys or got rid of them and then got these guys for their farm system. I think the Tigers need to do something similar, and then years down the road, maybe have a team kind of like the Yankees have now or the Astros and hope for the best.
You know, I find it funny because 3 years ago when the Astros were a terrible team, I told everyone, I was like, be on the lookout for this team. I saw what they had. I saw their young pitchers that out of that bullpen that could throw 99 to 100 just on a whim's notice. They could get called out, and I knew that if this team was able to put a few pieces together, Springer, he's hitting the ball phenomenally. Like this whole consistently hitting. They're putting up 5, 6, 7, 8 runs a game. They're on, I think they're on a 10-game win streak right now. They have by far one of the best teams in baseball, and at the trade deadline, they're going to be serious buyers and they're going to be serious contenders. And I can't say that about the Tigers.
And it all starts with the pitching staff. You look at the Astros pitching staff. They have a guy in Dallas Keuchel who hasn't lost a game yet, as the only pitcher in MLB currently to have a sub-1 ERA or sub-2 ERA. This guy's been lights out. He struggled last year with injuries, but now he's back. Lights out. You got Lance McCullers Jr., who's doing great. The rest of the pitching staff is doing great. Obviously, the lineup's hitting for power and average. That's what you need. And it all starts with these young guys. And when you bring them up like that, it gives them time. You give them a couple years to develop, and then hopefully you'll have a team like this. And it worked out for a lot of these teams. So that's what I feel the Tigers need to do for years to come.
Well, I can tell you that in the next few weeks, we're going to be seeing some pretty important games played from the Tigers to see what they're going to be doing. But let's move on. We got some Pistons talk to get into, and there are rumors going around, Brett, that the Pistons are looking to trade their pick. Can you fill us in on that?
So I've seen a couple different things so far, a couple different theories I've seen. First one is from Stan Van Gundy himself. He's actually come out and said that they'd be willing to trade their pick for an already established veteran to help them win now. This one I feel is... I don't agree with it as much because, yes, you can get a veteran guy for that pick to help you win now, but the thing is, one player isn't going to help you win. And if you look at the teams, you look at the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers, let's say you acquire a guy like Gordon Hayward, Paul George, that's a long shot, but let's just say you get one of those two guys. Even with those two guys, your team cannot match up with a team like the Warriors or the Cavs or even some of these other better teams in these top conferences. And the goal is to win a championship. So if you're going to trade these picks for guys like this, you can't win a championship. What's the point, in my opinion?
All right, so I disagree with you in like 90% of what you just said. In my opinion, first off, basically with that logic, every team that isn't the Cavs and Warriors need to just tank and just stockpile. Because let's be honest here. Those two teams are the Golden State's not done. Like, this isn't their last season of
Absolutely
doing this.
Not.
I would maybe the Celtics, depending on what they can do, just because they have so many picks, they can maybe rival the Cavs. But Isaiah Thomas, that's not working out in my opinion. You can't. Great player, size isn't going to help him, but he's going to have to leave. But for the Pistons, Klay Thompson might be leaving that team. And honestly, if you're looking at the Golden State Warriors, I wouldn't be surprised if he did leave. Even though I think it's dumb, if he thinks he's that good and he can lead his own team, which I think is absurd, I feel like he goes MIA sometimes, I would like to see him on the Pistons. I would like to see them take a shot at him or Paul George. I think those are two veteran players that have played in big moments that can teach these young kids who get so scared sometimes and they get upset about how the team's playing that they start not to care. I know Paul George for a fact will not allow players in that locker room to not care. And he's stated it about his own team. He gets frustrated when they stop caring. So you can see that. And Klay Thompson, that would be such a great player. Pistons are one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league. He would have a catch-and-jump shooter. You'd be able to take pressure off of Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson. I don't know about KCP. If KCP is not here at the end of the season, you need to get a shooter. And honestly, with the players we've gotten in the draft, unless we're trading up, I don't see a player that we're going to draft at the 12th pick that's going to be able to help right now like someone like a Klay Thompson or Paul George would, unless we traded up to get Malik Monk or possibly Lonzo Ball.
Let me ask you this, though. What would we be willing to give up to get a guy like Klay Thompson? Not even what we'd be willing to give up. What would the other teams be expecting in return to get a guy like Klay Thompson or Paul George?
Well, you're probably giving KD a longer deal. You're probably giving Steph a longer deal. They're probably going to get paid soon.
Okay.
All right. So they're going to, and with Klay, that's going to be a lot of money you're going with. So if you get rid of, honestly, I don't mind getting rid of any. As much as I like the Pistons roster, I really do like all the guys. There's no one on that team I actually just hate, and I feel like hurts the team. But there are players. They're not that good. We're going to be honest here. I can like them. They don't have to be that good. Morris, I could see getting rid of. KCP could be a sign and trade. And then Reggie Jackson, if I don't know what's going on with them, but if they don't want, if Van Gundy can't work with Reggie, then getting someone else to replace him would be better. And then you have Ish Smith, he can run at point fine. You have the 12th pick, that's a good thing. So I'd be willing to trade like Reggie, 12th pick for Klay. I feel like your team instantly gets better. You're better at shooting. Ish runs a more efficient offense. I like Reggie, but I don't know after that injury if he'll ever be the same. He looked terrible last season. So I honestly, if it was up to me, I will take the sure thing over betting on someone in the draft unless we trade it up.
Okay, I agree with that, but I don't see the Warriors taking a trade like the first round pick and Reggie Jackson for a guy like Klay Thompson. I don't see that.
I do agree. I do agree with that. I don't see it either, but that's what I would be willing to do.
Oh yeah, would I love to get a guy like Klay Thompson? Absolutely. He's a game changer. I would love to have a guy of his caliber on this team. I feel like he'd help us. Would he get us a playoff spot? I think so. Would we still be one of the...
I think the team right now could get a playoff spot if Reggie doesn't get hurt. I mean, we basically were in it till the end, so it's not like I think with Klay we could be a 5th, 6th seed.
I just think this team needs to gel more. I think obviously you saw with Reggie Jackson, he was injured for the first month, 2 of the season. The team said they got used to Ish Smith, who's more of a pass-first point guard.
I really do agree on that. I feel like with Ish Smith, you're running those are 2 very different offenses from the pick and roll that Reggie and Andre can set to what Ish Smith is running. I really do like the 2 point guards that they have. I feel like if Reggie and Drummond could get back together and they could learn 2 different offenses, they could run 2 deadly games with facing a bench team. When they put Ish out there, or facing the starting 5 when you got Reggie out there. I just feel like the team would be, if Reggie can play ball, very good.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, honestly, I think you got to have one more season to kind of figure it out. I say you give it one more chance to see if this team can mold and try to get that playoff spot. I say higher than an 8 seed. Actually, coming into this past season, I predicted the Pistons to get about a 5-6 seed. Which
I think a lot of people had them there.
Right, which based on their season 2 seasons ago, it definitely looked capable of happening, but it didn't work out. Injuries, teams, the guys didn't gel together, so it really didn't work out. But I feel like you have time. Like I said, the Warriors and the Cavs, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be the top teams for the next 5, 6, or more years. So I feel you have time to kind of figure it out because, like I said, even if you get somebody like a Paul George or a Klay Thompson, you're still not beating that team. So I feel like you have time to make some moves and figure it out and go from there.
I do agree with you on that. I agree wholeheartedly that that's kind of the only moves that they can make. But here's one of the things I want to ask you. There are reports that people are getting fed up with Van Gundy. What are your thoughts on that? And do you feel that Van Gundy, if the team does not make the playoffs this year, there has to be a change?
I kind of think that's BS, to be honest. I think fans are kind of in over their head. You look at the team 2 years ago, and everybody was praising Van Gundy. Wow, look what he's done with this team. The Pistons were one of the jokes of the NBA, and now look, they got an A seed in the playoff spot. Did they get blown out by the Cavs? Yes, they did, but it's the Cavs. But they still made the playoffs. Look at this team.
That was a close series. Like, it was a sweep.
Oh, yeah,
every game
very
was close.
competitive sweep, no doubt about it. And that's what people were saying. It's like, wow, this team really has a chance to go somewhere. Van Gundy's done a great job. They drafted Andre Drummond. Ended up turning out as a great draft pick. You traded for Reggie Jackson. As of 2 seasons ago.
That was a steal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He traded DJ Augustine when he was at his best. DJ Augustine's a career bench player, so it was a great steal to get a young guy and Reggie Jackson to help lead the team.
And then you got, from Orlando?
Tobias Harris. I feel he's the best player on the team.
He is the best player on the team. He, fifth man, he had the chance to get that, basically. Coming off the bench, he's basically a starter.
Yeah,
He's
sixth man of the year.
Sixth man of the year.
Absolutely.
Coming off the bench, he can score. He can light it up when he comes off the bench. And what did we give up for him? Ersan Ilyasova and
Brandon Jennings.
So we gave up a traveling point guard and Ersan Ilyasova, who's been traded to 15 teams.
Yeah, I feel like that was definitely a great trade. Stan Van Gundy did a great job of taking advantage of a team like the Magic, who had so many guards on their team. They didn't have enough guards and forwards. They didn't have enough spots to put them all in. So what do? They want to try to get rid of them. And what are they going to do? Get rid of them for cheap, because teams know they have too many and they're trying to get rid of it. So I feel Van Gundy did a great job studying together this team. And honestly, I think it's not his fault. I mean, you look at the team 2 years ago. I mean, yes, he's the coach, but look at the team 2 years ago. They did great. They really gelled together. They got the A seed, pulled it out. Granted, the Eastern Conference sucks, to say the least, but they still got a playoff spot, unlike this year. And now people are complaining Van Gundy, he needs to leave, he's not doing his job. But he's still the same guy. It's just the team didn't gel this year. It was injuries.
Agreed, 100%. And the thing that really frustrates me is I don't think that Van Gundy wants this exact team. If he had to pick his ideal team, right? He wants shooters. He wants to surround
that's how his offense is run.
A good center by some 3-point shooters. That's kind of what he wants. And he was handcuffed into signing Drummond. You didn't have a choice. If he didn't sign Drummond, he would look like a joke. We would have Aaron Baines as our starter.
Agreed.
So you kind of had to sign him. He hasn't really had a chance to make any moves yet. With KCP, this is going to be one of the first things we're going to see here is signing players that we're not 100% on, and I feel like he's still handcuffed into signing KCP or making an attempt to. I feel like we haven't seen Van Gundy getting to have his own way at everything he wants. He kind of has to deal with the leftover regime of Joe Dumars and the picks he has. So I feel like you got to give him at least 2 more years, and then that's when you start to question. You can't question after one season, even because 2 seasons ago, as you said, he was doing great.
I agree, but I also disagree. I do think, this is where I disagree with you. I think Van Gundy has had his chance to kind of remold the team. As you look, a lot of the players that Dumars had is gone. That bench was awful. We had guys like Jerebko, who's actually fit in very well with the Celtics, but we had guys like D'Antoni and all these Josh Smith and all these garbage people who Van Gundy did a great job, got rid of. Yes, you had Andre and KCP, which were both products of Joe Dumars, but they've come to be great starters. Not great starters, but for this team, they've been helpful.
They have been helpful, but at the same time, if Andre isn't willing to take his game to the next level, would you? Okay, let's say Andre maybe gets one more All-Star game. He never becomes that dominant presence that we've wanted to see for a center. He has that hook shot, very inconsistent play. He's very scared, can't shoot free throws. We all know that. But let's say he doesn't make it, right? Would you say that was a bad job for Van Gundy signing Drummond to that extension?
Honestly, like you said, this is where I agree with you. Like you said, I think he was kind of handcuffed into signing him. Because what if you don't sign him? Well, then you let somebody else get him, and if he does turn into a star, then you look like a joke.
And you had no chance of making the playoffs this year if you did not have Drummond. I think that's clear, especially with Reggie Jackson going down. I think all hopes were out the window.
I agree. And if you look at 2 years ago, I mean, his contract season, he put up double-digit numbers. He was an all-star. He was averaging close to 20 points a game, averaging about 17, 18 rebounds a game. How can you not sign that guy?
Exactly.
He can't shoot free throws, but the thing is, his other stats kind of overpower it. But this year, not so much. And now fans want to turn on him and on Drummond and Van Gundy. It's like, I think you need to give him at least one more full season to try to get this to work. I don't think Drummond will ever get the free throws down.
No.
I think we can all agree on that. But if he can get back to close to what he had 2 seasons ago, I think it'd be worth it.
All right. So, final thoughts. Do we trade up? Do we trade for a veteran point guard? Or not point guard, a veteran shooter? Or do we just stay put at the 12th pick?
I think staying put is your best option unless... I don't think you should trade for a veteran player, in my personal opinion. I think what I've seen so far is about the Malik Monk trade. We would have to trade up with the Kings 2 spots to the 10th spot. We would trade our first-round pick and Michael Benajay, our second-round pick from last year, who very rarely played at all and was injury-prone. And we would trade up and we would pick Malik Monk if he was still available. That, I feel like, would be a great pick. Or I say you trade Reggie Jackson and a first-round pick and trade up to top 5 and try to get De'Aaron Fox. If you can't do any of those, I say you stay put and you pick a guy like Luke Kennard or somebody who can drain the 3 from the outside.
All right, we're going to move straight into the NBA Finals to finish off the night. So, Warriors, let's get into this. I don't feel like we have a whole lot to say. No. I feel like it's kind of all set in stone, and I feel like this is not the same Warriors team from last year. This is not the same Cavs team from last year. They won last night to take a 2-0 lead going to Cleveland, 132 to 113. LeBron had a triple-double. Curry had a triple-double. Durant dropped like 35 points. What are your thoughts on this series, and do you think it's over?
I don't think it's over just yet. As we all know, last year the Warriors were up 2-0 and they ended up losing. So I don't think it's over until at least the first game in Cleveland. If they lose that, then it's definitely over. But I give it one more game. My thoughts on this series, I originally predicted Warriors in 6, which... as of right now, it's not looking like a smart prediction. I think more like Warriors and possibly a sweep, possibly in 5, which a lot of people predicted.
That's where I had them. I had them Warriors at 5. I think they'll lose at least one in Cleveland. I just, on the road, I feel like that's a really tough thing to get over.
I agree. Obviously, like you said, this Warriors team is not the same team as last year. Essentially, you traded Harrison Barnes for Kevin Durant. And obviously we all know that's a humongous upgrade. Some people are calling Kevin Durant the best player in the world as of right now.
Yeah, Paul Pierce said that this morning.
Right, exactly. And so they're picking Kevin Durant over LeBron James. I feel this team, as we all know, is basically a super team. They're going to be around for a while. It's just it's too hard to match up with the Cavs. The Warriors and Cavs, they don't match up right. The Warriors have too many scores. You got guys like Durant, and you got guys like Thompson who are playing lockdown defense.
And you see LeBron, he's guarding Curry sometimes. Like, right there, first off, you should be able to keep Curry pretty close on. Like, I mean, Curry's going to score. But, I mean, you have the matchup you want right there. You got LeBron, big, strong, fast, over a small guy like Curry. So I feel like you're getting the mismatch and you're still getting beat. It's like Durant's dropping all these points. LeBron, you're doing great. You got to step up and you got to take care of KD.
I think LeBron's doing his part. It's not his part. I think Kyrie has been a little lackluster to say in this playoffs.
Kyrie should also be on Steph. Like, Steph is a triple-double for Steph Curry with 30 points. Kyrie, you can score, great. You gotta play. The team's gotta play defense. Golden State dropped 132 games on them in Game 2. Like, that is literally insane. And then in the first game, they dropped 113. The Cavs all playoffs have not played good defense. They played against bad teams and they shined a little bit. But honestly, they've given up almost 100 points in every single playoff game.
Yeah, it's not been good. On the offensive side, like I said, LeBron's doing his part. Kyrie, not great, but he's not doing bad. You got guys, from my opinion, I think it's the guys at fault are guys like J.R. Smith, who's not taking a lot of shots even though they want him to. Well, even though last year he struggled, they want him to take shots, and he's not doing it. And then the main problem, I think, is Tristan Thompson. I mean, you give this guy a max contract. He's supposed to be one of the more dominant centers, and he's not even grabbing 10 rebounds a game, not scoring any points.
Which I thought was insane that I didn't think Tristan Thompson was that good. And, like, I feel like from the beginning, that was set up to be failure, and I really think it's starting to he's being exposed right now by this Warriors team as an average center. I couldn't believe how much money he got paid. But at the same time, champions, LeBron runs the team. If that's who he wants at his center and they just came off the NBA championship, you kind of got to pay him. You kind of handcuffed there.
Exactly.
Almost.
Plus, you got a higher salary cap in the NBA, so what the hell? Why not pay him?
Exactly.
But in my opinion, I think he's like you said, he's an average center and he's getting exposed. This Warriors team is too good, and if you want to win, you really got to play your best, and those guys are not getting the job done.
It's not even that. That's what I find amazing is like I'm not seeing both teams playing at their best. Korver, man, I'm watching him miss shots. Korver's supposed to be one of the best shooters in
and
the
they're playing great defense on him because they know he's a catch and shoot.
Exactly.
So he's going to get the ball and catch and shoot. So what do? You play close to him and you don't let him
Every
do it.
time he catches that ball, I'm watching him take shots, and he has someone right in his face every single time. They got two guys going to him almost. Like, they know he's going to shoot. JR, I honestly, I paid almost zero attention to the Cavs in the playoffs. I did not even know JR was playing in the finals so far. I have not heard his name. Normally, I cannot stand JR. I think he's a very one-dimensional type player. But he can hit threes. I know he can hit threes.
Yeah, when he's on, he's on.
I'm not seeing that from him at all, and
Absolutely
I mean at all.
Yep, and that's why they're talking about, we just heard reports this morning talking about the Cavs may think about putting Ian Shumpert into the starting lineup and taking out J.R. Smith. Shumpert, my opinion, god-awful on offense, but he can definitely lock down
defense.
Some players on defense, and that's what they need at this point. But the thing is, it's the Warriors, it's just too much. You got guys like Thompson who isn't playing great on offense, but he's playing the best defense out of any player in the entire finals right now. And then you got guys on offense like, yes, last year the reason why the Warriors lost is because you had guys like Kyrie locking down Curry, and that's why everybody said Curry choked, is because Kyrie was playing such good defense and Curry couldn't do anything.
He's not playing the same defense on this year.
Right, and even if he was, now you got a guy like Durant.
Exactly.
So you don't have, it's not all on Curry. Now you can throw it over to Durant because Klay Thompson is more of a three-point shooter. He's not a guy that's going to drive to the lane. He's not a big body, a tall guy.
No, he's a catch and shoot. He's like a Korver, except
right. He's a little bit better Korver. And now you got a guy like Durant. So if Curry gets locked up or he's having a bad night, you can throw it over to Durant, who can just drive to the lane, dunk on you, shoot
Durant's
threes.
been the best player. Durant's doing literally everything.
Absolutely.
Right now.
I mean, if the series ended today, he'd be Finals MVP, no doubt. And that's where I feel like it's hurt. You traded Harrison Barnes for Kevin Durant, as I said earlier. Last year, Harrison Barnes was terrible. Couldn't rely on him. Awful shooter. And now you got a guy like Durant who's just lighting it up. There's literally nothing you can do, in my opinion.
And like even the bench, man, that entire team. That's what I think is so great about the Warriors, man. They're well coached. They run a very efficient offense. That entire team, they play together. They want to win. I feel like at times, with a lot of other teams, Pistons, Cavs, you see players just want to try and do it all themselves. That Warriors team, man, passing is their first thought. I've seen that team pass up open shots to get a better shot, and I see it consistently, and I love, you can hate the Warriors, that offense, man, wow, that is something to marvel about.
Yeah, there's no denying that. And the thing is, it's crazy because the Warriors are outstanding team right now. They just put up 132 points on the defending champions in the NBA Finals. And the thing is, they're not even playing at their best. You got guys like Draymond and Zaza Pachulia and Klay Thompson who are all not technically struggling, but definitely aren't playing at their best by any means.
They're getting in foul trouble. They're having to play a little soft on the defense. This team can only get better.
Yeah, this isn't even the best addition of the Warriors team that they have now. They can get better, which is extremely scary in my opinion.
All right, so what do you rate the playoffs, the finals? Have you been watching the games? Have you been excited? What do you think the final will be?
I have been watching every game. Honestly, even though everybody predicted the Warriors to win in 4 or 5 or 6, I feel it's still been an exciting series just because you get to see this great. Obviously, this could be one of the best teams ever in NBA history. Arguably the best team in NBA history.
Possibly a dynasty at this point.
Right, and you're watching this live on TV, so I don't know how you can't watch it. But so I think the finals have been all right. It's basically what people have expected. Maybe not as much to this point, but it's for the most part people predicted the Warriors to win. So on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd probably give it about a 7.5, 8. And honestly, I think at this point, like I said, it's not over until we play at least the first one in Cleveland.
First one. I think after that, we'll know the ending.
Right. But as of right now, I mean, honestly, it's looking like a Warriors sweep, to be honest. But like I said, I'm going to stick with my Warriors in 6 for now.
Yep, we saw it last year. The Cavs flipped the switch at home, so maybe we'll see it again this year. But it's not looking like it, so
Definitely
they
not.
got some stuff they got to do.
We'll see.
But all right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is JT Smellick.
My name is Brett Hebel.
And that is all we have for today. We hope you guys enjoyed watching this. We plan on uploading every Monday. But until next time, hope you guys have a wonderful day. And go Detroit Sports.